a little bit of the history of Israel. You remember that the people of Israel for centuries had been part of the Davidic monarchy, and then God prophesied through Jeremiah, through Isaiah, that bad times were coming, and Babylon came in and basically took over Judea, taking away all of the people to Babylon. And they were told through the prophets that they would be there 70 years. And we hear, for instance, in the prophet Daniel, some of the things that happened during that time when they were in exile. Now, 70 years later, they're coming back to their land. King Cyrus of Persia issued a proclamation through his kingdom, both by word of mouth and in writing. Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, all the kingdoms of the earth, the Lord, the God of heaven, has given to me. And he has also charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. And so he says, okay, if you're from that people, go back home. You can go and rebuild your temple, rebuild your city. You can start over. It's a very good political move for Cyrus because he's getting all his people behind him. He's saying, okay, you want to worship the way you want to? Great. Do that. You'll like me then, and then you'll support me. He's putting all these things into place. And he's recognizing, okay, God is giving me this authority. Does he believe that, or is he just saying that as a political move? Really don't know. In fact, most likely Cyrus was not a really nice guy. Wasn't a guy that you'd say, ooh, there's a saint. And yet God was able to use him. And this brings two thoughts to my mind as I was in prayer this morning. One is all of God's promises will be fulfilled. There's not a single one of God's promises that is not fulfilled. Very often it doesn't happen in the way we'd like it to, the way we expect it to, in the timing we want. The people of Judah had to wait 70 years in order finally to be able to go back. And then, I don't know how much we're going to read in the lectionary, but if you read through Ezra, if you read through Nehemiah, you find out that it was not exactly easy just going back, oh, we're going to build the temple and everything's going to be great. No, they had struggles, they had trouble with the people that were still in the land, and they had to really struggle in order to do this. And yet, God's promises were fulfilled. And so often in our lives, when we're in the muck and the mud of our own lives, when we're facing this problem and that problem, the other problem, and everything seems to be going wrong, we can cry out and say, where are you, God? And he's saying, I'm here. And I'm moving in your life, even if you can't see how in this moment I'm touching your life. The second thing that this brought to mind in my prayer was that just because God uses me as an instrument, just because God uses you as an instrument, doesn't mean we're holy, like King Cyrus. God used him for his plans, and yet it didn't mean that he was holy. God uses us in so many ways that we don't even know. And yet it doesn't mean that we're holy. It's in our saying yes to God. It's in our growing in love of him and of our neighbor. That's where we grow in holiness. Not in the great power, not in great preaching, not in all these other things, how God uses us, but rather in how we grow in intimacy with Almighty God. So a couple of reflections for the day. May we turn to God and ask him, make me holy. And I mean that for you, that you ask, make me holy. But you can also ask, make Father Vaughn holy too. That's okay too. I need that as well. But make me holy, Lord. And also, help me to trust that even when I can't see your finger of love moving in my life, help me to trust that you still really are here touching my life, working your mercy and your love.